The United Nations is calling on Yemen's warring sides to stop blocking aid deliveries. The Middle East's poorest country has been facing a devastating military offensive by some of the world's richest nations. Priyanka Gupta explains the human cost of a war that's now reached a grim milestone.
It's been 3 years since the conflict in Yemen began, and it's led to what's been described as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. In March 2015, Saudi Arabia and 9 other countries launched a military operation to help Yemen's government against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Qatar was part of the coalition until June of last year. In the past few years, the Houthis have managed to expand their control from their stronghold in Sauda in the north down south, including the capital Sana'a. But after 3 years of war, the Saudi-led coalition hasn't really managed to push them back. During the height of the offensive in 2015, the operation was costing an estimated $200 million a day. The US gives logistical and intelligence support to the coalition. It is also the main supplier of arms to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. In the last 5 years, Saudi Arabia has bought more than 60% of its weapons from the US, and the UAE bought 58% of its weapons from the US as well. Amnesty International says there is evidence that this flow of arms to the Saudi-led coalition is having a devastating impact on Yemenis. And here is why. There have been more than 6,000 verified civilian deaths since the conflict began. About 1,500 of them were children. The UN says the Saudi-led coalition airstrikes account for more than 60% of the civilian casualties. The conflict has driven more than 3 million people from their homes. More than 22 million, that's about 3/4 of the population, need humanitarian assistance. Millions don't have access to safe drinking water, and only half of the health facilities remain functional. There's a heightened risk of famine across much of the country, with 8.4 million people on the brink of starvation. And there's a cholera outbreak that's been called the worst in modern history. It's killed at least 2,228 people, with more than 1 million suspected cases. And now there are concerns the epidemic, though contained, could get worse in the coming months.